Hey everyone, Eric here. We got some small stacks updates to get through, so wanted to jump into those very quickly. In short, the account is actually pretty allocated, a little more than I was expecting it to be, but I like what I have on. So let's go to the screen. Okay, so right now the account value is 5917, utilization's 4092, and we're about 70% utilized. Total P&L not just over 900 bucks, and that represents a 15.5% return. Um, and right now we have $255 out, which is a 4.31% return on the account. So let's see the trades that have been made. First off, if you'll notice, forward is down, so I took that entire trade down. Total P&L in it was $124 after closing the short calls, and that's a 13.7% return on invested capital in that trade. So that was pretty much an easy win as far as I could tell. I do like Ford still. It's something that I might revisit, but just seeing the move that it essentially made the move that I was looking for it to. So I didn't maintain exposure. So if we take a quick look, you can kind of see what I'm talking about. When I first entered Ford, it was quite a bit lower, definitely in the sevens, like mid sevens, and or maybe yeah, definitely mid sevens. I don't totally remember what the price was on entry. I'd have to look at the date. But essentially, after it made this high, I was getting ready to unwind, and then just on the down day today, it just made sense to take the whole position down. So that's where we're at in Ford. Then for Kroger, the only adjustment that I think that's this one. Yeah. So for in Kroger, it's pretty simple. All I did was take the short call down at a profit, and I did not lay anything new out. And the reason for that is as things sit right now, um, I would I could sell at the 35.5 or at the 36 strike, but short calls, but it wouldn't make that much money. So I would rather just leave it uncapped for now. The trade itself is still returning well. I've realized $288 in profit with 1357 outlay. So overall, it's returning well. I'm not gonna prematurely close off the potential profit. Now, one strategy I am looking at in here is maybe selling one call on a rebound and then leaving it at a ratio, kind of like that. So if we take a look real quick at Kroger, you'll see it's made a move down. Um, it's made a move back down to this -2, and that's why I'm not really in a big rush to sell the calls. It could obviously continue down for sure, but just based on my general approach to trading, seeing it hold this 200-day moving average and be at a -2 standard deviation, I think overall, I probably would favor at least some sort of move to the upside, even if it's limited. So if I see that, that's when I'll start adding a couple short calls. There is definitely some premium in there, even at the lower deltas, like if I were to sell 35.5, but it's just not enough compared to what I know I can get. So this is one that I intend to keep an eye on. And then finally, you'll notice a new diagonal in Intel. So this is actually a position that I'm mirroring a similar version in my margin account. Not quite the same, simply because I just went with short puts in there, but generally bullish. And obviously couldn't afford that realistically in the small stacks account. So instead I went with the diagonal, and I took in the 18 June 21 37 and a half calls, and I paid $10.35. And then I sold the 4Ds 47 calls, and I got $1.65 at a 48 delta. So that's a 165 credit and almost a 16% return on invested capital, which again would be completely happy with that. This is a slightly tricky position because I do not want it to take a third of the account, third represent 33% of the account or so. And I say that because right now I have $2,000 allocated to it. That was more just kind of taking a look. More probable than anything, I will not add to this trade unless it comes down significantly and I could add something for like $600 that I would consider kind of taking that allotment down from 2000 to like 1500 is probably the way forward here. And I really like Intel, but just general good portfolio management, I don't want this position to represent that much of the account. And then, so in here, I did sell the short call against it, and it's mostly because the premium was really good. I still think that the propensity for this trade is for that short call to fall in the money at least some point relatively in the future. I don't see Intel, necessarily staying down here at 46, but nonetheless, I wanted to make sure that I kind of realized that premium up front. So best case scenario, just like any other diagonal, is the short call falls in the money, and then I have to manage it that way, which would be totally cool. No sweat with that, but um, otherwise, this trade will kind of be set and forget, and we'll revisit it in closer to December. And then lastly, I have a short put out in Mosaic at 17. This was honestly a really good trade for me because I like Mosaic, and this bit of a down move has moved it closer to where I could reasonably enter. Now, there is earnings coming up, which I perceive to be a positive catalyst. This is not necessarily an earnings play outright, if you'll notice how far out in time I went, but I was using the earnings increase in volatility to try to increase the return on the position. Collecting 90 cents on a 17 strike is obviously really good premium. If I do get a bounce leading into earnings or bleed off of volatility, I will take the trade down for a smaller profit, maybe 20% or so. But if it doesn't happen and I run this into earnings, I'm okay with it. We'll see, how earnings goes, but this is a cash secured put for me. So this is something that I would not mind owning longer term. It would utilize $1,700 and that's fine. So all in all, the account is relatively utilized at this point. I found a few trades to put on that I like, and we'll see. Big dependency really is Kroger. I want to add those short calls pretty much as soon as I can because that's realized money. I just don't want to do it down here. For Intel and Mosaic, those are almost set it and forget. Just kind of check it in a few weeks and see what they're doing. But right now, I like where the account is. Unlike my margin account, small stacks is staying allocated. It's too little money. Again, if there's some sort of big down move after the election, I don't really care because I'll hold the products that I have. And the small stacks account, I can't say it enough, it's not going to be the thing that's going to make anybody rich. You're not going to turn that 5,000, even 100,000 into your future, wealth. This is working through mechanics and strategy and really proof of concept that we can implement a successful strategy. So that's why I'm not as concerned about preservation of capital in this account as compared to what I'm doing in my margin account, which is more so scaling into the election just to limit exposure to that binary event. I'm not applying that same paradigm here. So we'll see what this looks like. I do think that this will be relatively quiet, at least for a week or two. And the next trade I expect to make would be short calls in Kroger to add some short premium there, or closing Mosaic out leading into earnings. Otherwise, we should be pretty static. As always, if there's any questions or anything anybody wants to work through, let me know, and I will catch everybody later.